Today, we'll explore why silence is a man's most powerful move, and how it transforms both you and the situation. Ready to take back control? Let's begin. When you choose silence, you might expect an immediate reaction, that your absence will shake her world. But reality is different. At first, she won't flinch. Instead of feeling a loss, she may see it as relief, a chance to embrace the space she thought she needed. Why? Because you've always been there. Your attention, efforts, and consistency were constants. She assumes you'll return, seeing this as a phase, not a real change. She might even feel reassured, believing letting you go was the right decision. She distracts herself, spending time with friends, posting on social media, engaging in shallow conversations, appearing happy, even thriving. But don't be deceived. This is the calm before the storm. This stage is where most men falter. Seeing her act indifferent can feel like a slap in the face, making the urge to break silence overwhelming. That's where most fail, letting emotion override discipline, chasing validation that never comes. Don't make that mistake. Silence isn't about her reaction. It's about reclaiming your power. Stoicism teaches us to control what is within our power and release what is not. Her indifference is beyond your influence, but your response is entirely in your hands. This is your moment to shift inward. Instead of fixating on her lack of reaction, channel that energy into self-improvement. Hit the gym, develop a skill, reconnect with friends and family. At first, she remains confident in her decision, but beneath the surface, cracks begin to form. She doesn't realize it yet, but the reality of your absence is settling in. What seemed like liberation is losing its appeal. Your silence, unnoticed at first, is making an impact. She's experiencing the life she thought she wanted, but that space is starting to feel emptier than expected. Your task remains: stay silent, stay disciplined, and focus on yourself. This phase is not about her. It's about you. The man who does not chase, beg, or plead commands respect. If you hold firm, the balance will shift in ways you cannot yet see. Her indifference is not the end. It's the beginning. Your silence is not emptiness. It's a declaration. I know my worth, and I will not settle for less. Stand strong. The journey isn't over, and the true weight of your silence has yet to be felt. At first, she seems unaffected, carrying on as if your absence means nothing. But over time, something shifts. Not loudly, not obviously, but subtly. The first signs of emptiness creep in, starting with the smallest of things. She no longer sees your name light up her phone in the morning. The calls that once brought warmth are now just distant echoes. Thoughtful gestures she once brushed aside now feel foreign. At first, she dismisses it, convinced you'll reach out eventually. But deep down, a quiet voice whispers, "What if he doesn't?" This is the power of silence. It doesn't beg, it doesn't confront. It lingers, steady and unshaken, growing like a shadow she can't ignore. The space you once filled, the one she assumed was only temporarily empty, is beginning to feel permanent. And in that permanence, the first cracks appear. She notices the void, not in grand moments, but in the small ones. She instinctively reaches for her phone only to remember there's nothing from you. A song plays, triggering memories she thought were behind her. She walks past a familiar place and, for the first time, feels the weight of what's missing. These aren't just passing thoughts, they are the seeds of realization. Yet she won't admit it. Not to herself, not to anyone else. Outwardly, she carries on, posting pictures, staying busy, surrounding herself with people. But beneath the surface, a quiet discomfort grows. No matter what she does, something feels off, and she doesn't know why. For you, this is the real test. The temptation to reach out, sensing her shift, will be strong. But your power lies in consistency. If you give in now, you undo everything. This is where you must hold firm and trust the process. Stoicism teaches that discomfort isn't to be avoided but endured. because through discomfort, growth occurs. Right now, both of you feel the strain of silence in different ways. For her, it's the creeping realization that life without you isn't as fulfilling as she expected. For you, it's the challenge of resisting the urge to seek validation. But within this discomfort, transformation begins for both of you. As days turn into weeks, the emptiness becomes undeniable. She may try to drown it out. Nights out, shallow conversations, fleeting connections, but nothing truly fills the void. Your absence isn't something distractions can replace. It runs deeper than she expected, and the harder she tries to ignore it, the more pronounced it becomes. This is where your discipline is tested. Your focus must remain on yourself, your ambitions, your growth, your purpose. This isn't about waiting for her to realize what she lost. It's about proving to yourself that you don't need her validation to thrive. Every day you hold your silence is another day invested in your own future. The first cracks in her confidence may seem small, but they are powerful. They signal a realization. She didn't just lose someone who cared, she lost someone irreplaceable. As those cracks deepen, the impact of your silence grows. Stay patient, stay resolute. The emptiness she now feels is the foundation of a lesson she never expected to learn. Over time, your silence shifts from being just a void in her life to something she can't escape. What once felt like freedom now carries an unsettling weight. The subtle signs of emptiness evolve into a persistent discomfort, creeping into her quiet moments. At first, she brushes it off, convinced you'll return. But deep down, her certainty wavers. Your silence is no longer just an absence. It's a mirror, forcing her to confront the reality she tried to avoid. This discomfort is most apparent in stillness, when she scrolls through her phone and notices your absence, when she's surrounded by people yet feels something missing. These realizations don't hit all at once. They build slowly, like drops of water filling a glass. And with each passing day, that glass inches closer to overflowing. She may dive deeper into distractions, social events, work, fleeting connections. But no matter how busy she keeps herself, the void remains. These are mere band-aids, unable to mask the deeper wound left by your silence. The stability, care, and attention you once provided are gone, and no substitute seems to fill that space. For someone new in your life, this realization is particularly striking. She may have believed moving on would be effortless, that distancing herself was the right choice. But now, the weight of that decision settles in. Every new interaction, every passing connection, only highlights what she lost. She begins to compare others to you, not just superficially, but in ways that cut deeper than she expected. And those comparisons rarely work in their favor. For someone who had been in your life longer, the impact is even greater. She assumed your presence was a given, that no matter how distant she became, you would always be there. Now, as silence stretches on, she realizes she was wrong. What once felt like freedom no longer feels liberating. It feels empty. Life is heavier, colder, more isolated. What she once dismissed as an insignificant absence has grown into something undeniable. For you, this stage is both a test and an opportunity. The discomfort she feels isn't something you created. It's the natural result of the boundaries you've set. This isn't about punishment, it's about reclaiming your time, energy, and self-worth. While she wrestles with growing unease, you have the chance to focus entirely on what matters, your growth. Stoicism teaches that discomfort isn't something to fear, but to embrace. Through discomfort, we confront our vulnerabilities and challenge ourselves to rise beyond them. Right now, her discomfort is forcing her to recognize the value of what she lost, while your discipline is shaping you into a stronger, more self-assured man. This is a critical stage. The temptation to reach out will be strongest. You may feel the urge to check in to see how she's doing, to remind her of your presence, but doing so would sabotage everything you've built. Your silence isn't just affecting her, it's transforming you. It's teaching patience, restraint, and the strength to let go. And as the days pass, her discomfort will grow. She'll think about you more, wondering what you're doing, questioning if you've moved on. The idea that she may have lost you for good will start to feel real, and that thought alone will be impossible to ignore. For you, this is proof of how far you've come. The man who once chased, pleaded, or sought reassurance is gone. You've become someone who values himself enough to walk away from situations where he isn't respected. And it is this transformation that makes your silence so powerful. The unease she feels now is only the beginning. Her first real realization of what she let go of. Undeniable proof of your impact on her life. Stay strong. Stay disciplined. Trust the process. This discomfort isn't just a consequence of her choices. It's evidence of your growth. As more time passes, the void you left becomes something she can no longer dismiss. What began as mild discomfort turns into a persistent ache, gnawing at her in ways she never expected. She feels the emptiness and instinctively tries to fill it. But here's where the real struggle begins. What she's searching for isn't easily replaced. She turns to distractions, nights out, new hobbies, endless scrolling, anything to keep her mind occupied. For brief moments, they seem to work, offering temporary escape from the silence. But distractions can only do so much. The void remains, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the quiet moments when she's left alone with her thoughts. Eventually, she seeks to fill the void with new connections, dating, casual conversations, even revisiting an old flame. On the surface, it looks like she's moving forward, but beneath it all, these attempts fall flat. Why? Because she's not just looking for another relationship. She's searching for the depth, stability, and authenticity you provided. And no matter how much she tries, those qualities aren't easily replaced. At first, new people seem intriguing, even refreshing. But over time, the comparisons begin. She notices the subtle differences, the lack of understanding, the absence of the small details you never missed, the emptiness in conversations that once carried weight. These realizations build gradually, creating an unshakable frustration. For someone who was briefly in your life, this stage is a rude awakening. She assumed you were easily replaceable, that another man could step in without a second thought. But now she realizes what you brought wasn't ordinary, it was rare. Every failed attempt to replicate it only magnifies the weight of her loss. For someone who had been in your life longer, the frustration cuts deeper. She once believed she could explore other options while keeping you as a safety net. But as the silence lingers, she's forced to confront the truth. You are no longer waiting. Those shallow connections lack the loyalty, the emotional depth, and the unspoken understanding you provided. At this stage, internal conflict sets in. Doubt creeps in. Was I too quick to walk away? Did I misjudge him? These questions grow heavier with each failed attempt to replace what she lost. And while she wrestles with regret, you continue evolving, becoming stronger, more confident, more self-assured. This is a critical turning point. It's easy to wonder if someone else has stepped into your place, if she's moved on without a second thought. But remember, what you brought to her life wasn't interchangeable. It wasn't something just anyone could provide. And the longer the silence holds, the clearer that realization becomes, not just for her, but for you as well, but for you, as Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. And right now, that is your growth and mindset. Let go of comparisons. Instead, channel your energy into becoming the man you've always aspired to be. While her frustration builds, so does her awareness of what she let slip away. She begins to see that the people she meets don't measure up. They lack depth, security, and understanding. With every failed attempt to replace you, the void you left grows larger, more noticeable, more permanent. For her, this stage is humbling. She is forced to accept that not all connections are equal, that what she had with you wasn't ordinary or easily replaced. For you, this is empowerment. Your silence, discipline, and focus on self-improvement have not only shown her, but, more importantly, proven to you that you are not just another option. You are a man of value, someone who commands respect and leaves a lasting impact. As this phase nears its end, her frustration turns into something deeper, regret. But for you, this is victory. You stayed true to yourself, resisted the impulse to chase, and proved that your worth does not depend on external validation. Keep moving forward. The best is yet to come. Regret is slow and creeping. It doesn't strike all at once. It builds, fueled by the realization of what was lost. By now, she has felt the discomfort of your absence, the frustration of trying to replace you. And now she faces an unavoidable truth. She made a mistake. At first, regret surfaces in quiet moments. She remembers how you made her feel, seen, valued, understood. She replays the memories, the small acts of kindness, the inside jokes, the way you anticipated her needs like no one else has. And with each passing thought, the weight of her decision becomes harder to ignore. Each memory acts like a thread, weaving together a picture of what she had and lost. And with each passing day, that picture grows heavier. She may not admit it, not to herself, not to anyone else, but the regret lingers. It shows in the hesitation before she types a message, wondering if you would even reply. It's in the way she scrolls through old photos or rereads past conversations, searching for traces of a connection she once dismissed. These actions seem small, but they reveal a much deeper realization. She let go of something rare, something valuable, and she may never find it again. For someone who was briefly in your life, this stage is humbling. She may have thought moving on would be effortless, that leaving was just another decision. But now she sees the truth. What she lost wasn't just another fleeting connection. It was something meaningful, something that provided stability and depth, something not easily replaced. For someone who had been in your life longer, the regret cuts even deeper. She once believed she understood your value, that no matter how distant she became, you would always be there. But now, as the silence stretches on, she realizes she was wrong. The life she expected to feel whole without you now carries a quiet, persistent emptiness, a void that serves as a constant reminder of the mistake she made. For you, this stage is proof of your transformation. The regret she feels isn't something you forced. It is the natural consequence of her choices. You did not beg, plead, or chase. Instead, you chose discipline, self-respect, and growth. And now, while she wrestles with the weight of her decision, you stand stronger than ever, unshaken, focused, and committed to your own evolution. Stoicism teaches us to release what we cannot control, and her regret is one of those things. It is not your burden to ease, nor your responsibility to fix. That weight belongs to her alone. As regret deepens, she may feel compelled to reach out. Perhaps a casual message to test the waters, a nostalgic reference, or even a direct apology. No matter how she chooses to express it, the meaning remains the same. She knows what she lost. But here's the key. Her regret was never the purpose of your silence. It is merely a byproduct. The true goal was always reclaiming your power, confidence, and self-respect. This is where many men falter. The moment she acknowledges her mistake, the temptation to rush back can be overwhelming. Recognition feels validating. But remember, this was never about her approval. It was about the discipline you built, the boundaries you enforced, and the strength you cultivated in her absence. If you choose to engage, do so only on your terms, not hers. For her, regret is a powerful teacher, forcing her to confront the consequences of her choices. For you, it is a reminder of your growth. The man who once chased, begged, or sought validation no longer exists. In his place stands someone who understands his worth, someone who does not accept less than he deserves. As this stage nears its conclusion, her regret peaks. She wonders if she has lost you for good, if she will ever find someone like you again. What once seemed like a temporary absence now feels like a permanent void. And for you, this is a moment of clarity, a realization of how far you've come. You did not just endure this journey, you transformed through it. Her regret may be inevitable, but for you, it is simply a stepping stone. It proves that your silence was never an act of weakness, but of strength. It was not just powerful, it was transformative. So stand firm, hold your ground, and recognize the truth. You have already won. Because this was never about her, it was about you. About rediscovering your resilience, reclaiming your self-worth, and proving to yourself that you never needed anyone's validation to be whole. Your silence was never about punishment or manipulation. It was a declaration of self-respect. It was your way of saying, I know my worth, and I refuse to settle for anything less. Through this journey, you didn't just show her, you proved to yourself that you are not an option. You are the standard. The absence you created wasn't empty. It was filled with growth, power, and transformation. While she wrestled with discomfort, frustration, and regret, you were forging a stronger, more resilient version of yourself. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, actions, and personal growth. Everything beyond that, her feelings, her choices, her regrets, is out of your hands. And that's exactly as it should be. By releasing the need for control or validation, you freed yourself from the weight of her approval and uncovered the strength that was within you all along. So, where do you go from here? Forward. Whether she reaches out or stays silent, whether she regrets her choices or not, none of it defines your value. The man you've become through this process is proof that you are capable of thriving regardless of her actions. You've reclaimed your power, and that is a victory no one can take from you. This is your story now. It's no longer about chasing someone who failed to recognize your worth. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to chase it all. You've grown, endured, and emerged stronger. And as you continue walking this path, remember this: your silence was never just an absence. It was the loudest statement you could ever make. If this journey resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Hit the like button, subscribe for more insights, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.